Until that stage, people will still rely on their local politicians to get things done. Just because we have powerful ideas, we are clean and honest, we are competent, people are not going to vote for us because they are in the bondage. They are in fear. They are helpless. And therefore, they look up to those people who can give them some minimal support locally to get small things done. Unless bright young people who care for the country devote a significant part of time, at least a couple of years before the election, reach out to people, make themselves known, understand the local problems, and in a systematic, institutionalized way address people's problems, deliver at least some results, and give confidence to the public that we can rely on these people. These are true leaders who actually can deliver. They not only have good ideas, they not only have good people and competent people, they actually are willing to work hard for us. We can see the sweat of the brow. We can see their commitment. We can trust them. We can rely on them. Unless that feeling is created, it is unlikely that the goodwill that Lok Sabha enjoys will be translated into political outcomes. That's because we have a horrendous political system where nothing much seems to happen. Even ministers and legislators find it very hard to get things done. Even prominent national leaders complain to me that they are not able to get much done in their constituencies because we created a completely dysfunctional system. And that's why, in order to change politics and win the confidence of the people, we need people of quality not only to be committed to the country, but also to actually give time and energy and their passion and commitment in leadership in a significant and demonstrable and visible way to win the confidence of the people. Then, with our agenda and the credibility that we enjoy, we can inspire the people and convert it into a political outcome. And that's when India will begin to change. What I ask of you is, come forward, put yourself up before the people, emerge as leaders in a way that the people can recognize you and trust you. They can see delivery of services from you. It's going to be hard work, but it's going to be very rewarding work, I guarantee you that. Because people of India are extremely sensible. They will realize in time who are the people who really work for them, who are the people who are committed to them, and which people are there in politics to feather their nest. That distinction people of India are capable of making. But the tragic reality is they don't have many people who are willing to work for the people, for the ordinary people, without feathering their nests. Until that choice is available, the people are helpless, the voters are helpless. We must give that choice to them so that they will do the right thing for themselves and Indian politics can be transformed. Now we have 2 years plus 2 years, 4 months now before the elections in Andhra Pradesh. Now is the time for us to come forward, to aggressively work in the constituencies in a systematic, in a scientific, and honest way, in a visible way, give confidence to the public, and transform the way our society is run, transform the way our politics is run. Then 2014 is going to be ours. In many ways, freedom struggle itself was an NRA movement, though the expression NRA was not known in those days. From Mahatma Gandhi to Ambedkar, each one of them was educated abroad. Ambedkar went to Columbia University. He studied copiously there. Mahatma Gandhi, of course, went to Britain, we all know that. So all our national leaders, they not only learned from other countries, but they observed the institutions and systems at work in other countries. They were inspired by what happened there. And they were also troubled by the contrast between what they have seen in the countries where they have studied and their motherland. And in many ways, that became the spur for freedom struggle. NRIs today are in a roughly similar situation. Luckily, unlike 100 years ago or 120 years ago, today we have greater communications and greater access to what's happening in the rest of the world with 24-hour television, with the internet communication, mobile telephony, etc. Nevertheless, there is no substitute to a very intimate personal experience. The NRIs have seen systems at work all over the world. They have seen how many blessings that we have in India. While we complain about life in many respects, when they have seen other societies, they also see the strengths of Indian society. They also have seen how much is possible if only we make a little effort to transform this country, to transform India, and how tantalizingly close we are to that. They have seen other systems at work, and therefore they know how to bring about that transformation. And therefore they are very well placed to be able to make an important contribution, play a key role in transforming India, Indian politics, Indian developmental story, Indian democracy itself. The other feature is the NRIs enjoy enormous confidence in the among the Indian public. Not only are they valued in whichever country they serve, in the United States or Europe or Middle East or Africa or elsewhere, NRIs are highly valued and trusted because they are hardworking. They have helped the host countries enormously in providing services, in building up their economies. And they have earned the respect of the people because they're among the most skilled, among the most capable, and among the most enlightened. And in India, we are proud of them for that reason. And therefore, the word of an NRI or the work of an NRI, they count for much more, they are noticed much more. Therefore, NRIs can make an important contribution in transforming not only Indian democracy, but also Indian politics itself. And PFL is really a means of harnessing this enthusiasm and channelizing that towards political. And if I come to the conclusion that ultimately the real transformation of India is possible only through the political process, by educating our masters, our citizens, by enlightening them, by making them aware of their own power, their own potential, their own possibilities, by giving them confidence, that means politics is a road. And therefore PFL is playing that political role. But this is politics not in a very negative or in a partisan sense. It is about transformation of India, recognizing politics as a tool, not politics and power as an end, power as a means. That's the reason why PFL could play such an important role in mobilizing the overseas Indian support in the fight against corruption. They are the first ones to actually raise this banner of struggle against corruption. That wonderful march, evoking the memories of Dandi March in California, is the beginning of this whole process against corruption. And that is when Anna Hazare and his colleagues picked up the gauntlet in India, and much of India, it responded magnificently. So the sparks that we engender, that we create, if they are done in the right manner, they have profound consequences for the betterment of India. Yes, of course, in case of Lokpal, we haven't succeeded yet, but I'm absolutely certain India will not be going back to the old ways. We will get an institutional mechanism. It may not be perfect, it will be reasonably robust and sound. We'll keep on improving it. And that's the way most institutions improve everywhere in the world, anywhere in the world. We should not despair. And what NRIs do has great consequences. But what I appeal to them is not only to do things that are required in institutional building, but also to change the nature of politics, to see how many people we can develop as leaders, put them before the public, and help the people of this country recognize their potential. Friends, my greetings to all of you on this wonderful occasion of conclusion of 62 years of our republic. A republic is founded in great values. It is founded on our history, our culture, our civilization. Our foundations are strong. Our nation building has been remarkable, almost unparalleled in human history. We have achieved a lot, but we all recognize we have to do a great deal. Unless every single child has the capacity to fulfill her true potential, irrespective of the accident of birth, unless every single Indian is treated equal under the law, not merely normatively under the Constitution, unless those in power are held to account, unless every citizen has the capacity to speak truth to power and to hold them to account, our republic is not complete. Our work is unfinished. And that's what we're all embarking upon. We all recognize that in order to accomplish that, the political process has to be not only pure but also purposive, not only ethical but also effective. We have serious problems of leadership in this country. We have serious challenges, particularly surfacing in recent years. Corruption has become monumental. The people of India are challenging the establishment and fighting for an institutional framework to be able to curb corruption. In the next year, I'm reasonably confident that we will have a robust framework to fight corruption. We're also working very hard to institutionalize reforms in the higher judiciary in the form of a National Judicial Commission and an Indian Judicial Service. Police reform is an important thing, and most of all, we have to ensure that power goes back to the people in the form of empowerment of local governments. There's a lot of unfinished governance agenda. But even if that's all done, We must recognize all this is merely a means to a larger end, and that end is education, healthcare, income, jobs, skills for our people. We cannot take people out of poverty. We cannot give confidence and dignity to our people unless every single child has the opportunity to fulfill her potential, unless every single family feels that they have a share of the growing economy, that their incomes will rise, and no matter how poor they are, their children and grandchildren can compete with anybody else in the country, and birth will not create a permanent division. Our republic has a lot more to do. We have a lot to rejoice. We have a lot more to accomplish. I ask all of you never to doubt the capacity of India to transform itself. We have done a great deal. Sometimes when we compare ourselves to the great nations of the world today, like the United States or Britain or Germany or Japan, sometimes there can be doubts in our hearts. Sometimes there can be despair. But that despair is unwarranted. Those doubts must be dispelled. Please remember, when those countries were 60 years old as a republic or as an independent country or as a democratic country, they too had far graver problems. They did not transform themselves overnight. Social institutions and political institutions take longer than technology and sometimes economic institutions. We must recognize that. We must understand that the nature of politics is such that unless the political institutions themselves are transformed, we will not get economic and social outcomes of the kind that we all desire. And therefore, we must find the levers of change and work hard to identify those levers and utilize those levers to be able to bring about the biggest possible change with the smallest possible effort. That's what our work has been. That's what your work must be. I extend my warmest greetings to you, to all of you, on this wonderful occasion of the Republic of India, completing 62 years. There are short-term and long-term challenges. Our economy is right now limping a little bit after a rapid growth phase, but we can recover the momentum if we correct some of the mistakes. The power sector is in a mess largely because of political failure and policy failure. Infrastructure is languishing because we haven't invested money wisely in the right way. There is growing public debt and fiscal deficit because the government is squandering precious resources for short-term populist gains or on account of corruption. We have to set right all these things, and we can if we know what to do. I ask all of you to join me in rejoicing on this wonderful occasion, but also in rededicating our time, our energy, to be able to bring about the transformation that we all seek so fervently in the coming years. The road is clear. We know what are the goals. We know what are the means. We all have the energy, the talent, collectively, and the desire to transform this country. Let us come together and work to transform this country, and we will make our country truly capable of fulfilling its true potential in the Comity of Nations, and will make our children proud. I wish you all the very best. Good luck. Jai Hind.